Well, good morning. Good morning.
Well, howdy do.
That's right. Well, howdy do. We're going to jump in here on the Rick Helps Real Estate Show and see if we can make sense of what's going on out there. Normally doesn't real estate doesn't change in a day, but boy, it is this week. it's it's going crazy. Let's jump right into this, shall we? And welcome and good morning. Let me get a couple clicks over here out of the way. Here's the big story of the day, folks. 30-year fixed average 6.62. That's quite the jump. We were 6.49, 6.62, but the problem is it's still trending that way. You can see here on this little thing here, it says negative. Give you another closer look at it right there, but we're trending up. And good morning, Jackie. And good morning, Close Catapult. I like that. Some of these YouTube names are great. So it's going to have an effect on the market. And those of you that watched me for at least around December may recall I was saying in December, if you're thinking of selling your house, I'd list now because there aren't as many listings coming on as we thought there would be, and you'll have less competition. And the buyer's market is really slow, but yet strong enough to move. And Commander Curtis, welcome. Thanks for jumping in. And I'm starting to see a little change here in the 7-day moving average. Notice how the yellow line, which is number of contracts, is coming down and new listings is coming down. I'm not ready to call a trend yet until Super Bowl weekend shakes out. So it's kind of like a holiday weekend. And so I don't want to say, hey, looks like we're going down, but I think it's probably a safe bet. So what's going on with the bond market? I'm by no means no expert, but I did read that the bond traders are essentially saying, the Fed is right, I guess, and saying that this inflation is stubborn. Yeah, so it wasn't an alarming CPI number, but it was enough to say, wow, it's not improving as fast as we had hoped. And the Fed's statement that they say that they're going to keep rates high for a prolonged period of time, gosh, they might just do that. And we could be in this for a while. We could see some relief in spring as the numbers kind of go up against each other. But it's really, for little flunkies like me, quite the guessing game. So we'll see what happens. Here's what I found interesting, though. That blue line is the average list price per square foot that has been climbing ever since the end of December. So buyers were out buying homes enough to give sellers confidence that they can raise their list pricing. And in raising their list pricing, they were also offering more incentives, such as rate buy downs and closing cost incentives and such. So while you do see that price increase, the net price hasn't, gone up that much, but they're still asking more. Well, that to me right now, that party's over. If you're listing now, don't expect to exceed what we've been seeing. Yeah, Pat, I think, or Tyler, I need to get another $1 bet on where rates are going to be in June. So might just have to tee that one up. Here's what we're seeing for active list price per square foot again on our listings. So we are below, obviously, 2022 numbers, which it should be, because this is, remember right here, this is when rates got to 7.1 and down we went on our list price. Now, right about here, we were sitting here at the high fives. And so where are we going to go from here? Well, it's not going to go up. It's probably going to flatline and hang right here. But again, who knows? Wild, wild west continues. It's a very interesting time. Now, listings under contract, check this out. This is a little surprising, isn't it? This is listings under contract. As soon as the first year came out, the buyers showed up. Not a huge number. And kind of the same thing that we were seeing here on the 7-day moving average. You can see that, the buyers came up after the holiday here, but then they continued. But not a huge number. It's still about 3,000 to 3,200, but down in Christmas, it got down to 1,600 over a 7-day period. So that's quite the jump there. And I think that, again, that's that's going to slow down too. It's people can't. I mean, there are a few programs out there where you can lock your rate before you find a house, but very few, and some of them tend to be a little expensive. So this rate increase will start to tamper if it continues throughout next week. It's going to get really cold out there. February and March will be interesting to watch. And thank you, Jackie. Good to see everybody again this morning. Rick, when new homes come on Zillow in my neighborhood, I can see how many views they're getting, and it seems that people are still strongly looking. They are. I see that on my website as well, Sean. There's a lot of people looking. Looking doesn't mean they're buying. Looking means they want to, and they are checking things out and they're waiting. The number of people that we have that want to purchase a home is pretty big. Now, Casa Grande, is it Casa Grande or Casa Grande? It's Casa Grande. That's what it's called there. Here's what they're doing. They're to consider project envisioning thousands of homes and apartments. This is an interesting article because you've got the Lucid plant down there and something else going on. I can't remember, but they're talking about building entry level homes and on very small lots, and they're also going to build some apartments and condos, and they're going to build some build to rent homes. So they're trying to get this entry level market up and running down there in Casa Grande, and so it's in the proposals right now to see what's going on. But I find that interesting. So usually you don't see in the outlying areas like that them increasing density, but because of the jobs that are growing down there, that's exactly what they're going to do. Now, another job development is coming on here in Phoenix. Excuse me. Is the Taiwan chip plant, and they have announced that they're going to invest another $3.5 billion in its Phoenix factory. And the chip giant, which makes a large portion of the world's semiconductor chips, said on Tuesday that its board had approved a plan to increase the capital investment for its Arizona factory up by $3.5 billion. They already said that they were going to triple it up to $40 billion. So they're getting rocking and rolling up there. They said that the company's first Arizona fab is expected to be completed by 2024 and produce 4 nanometer chips. From what I understand, that's the most advanced chip and the fastest. While its second, scheduled to be operational by 2026 and produce TMC's 3 nanometer chips. Now, don't ask me the difference between the 4 and the 3. I have no flipping idea. So they're going to be growing like crazy up there, and they're going to have 6 plants when they're done. So there's a lot of housing going on up there. What's the water situation? I don't know what the water situation is down there. But there was a lot of farming down there, Jackie. And whenever you have a lot of farming and then you put in homes take up less water than farms. So I'm going to speculate that they're probably okay. Hard to tell, but there are greater minds than me taking a look at that. It's the areas where you get out, like in the West Valley, where there really wasn't a lot of farming going on. And then you're plopping houses down, and out east, by Casa Grande, those are the ones that are going to get restricted. So I think the areas with the large farming, they're probably going to be okay. So there's still jobs coming. We're going to be on tomorrow night. I'm not going to be live tomorrow morning. We're going to have our show tomorrow night with Pat and the dynamic duo of Jackie and Ruby, and we're going to dive in and look at the rates. And I was talking to Pat yesterday about what's going on, and he goes, "Oh, it's been a terrible week for rates." But he said the real frustration he has is with the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, this layer of fees that they're putting in that's based on your FICO score and your debt to income ratio, and they're all different. And he said it's just an absolute bureaucratic nightmare, which is what you can expect whenever the federal government gets involved in stuff. And he said, you're submitting things and it gets kicked back, and it's just driving him crazy. Lucid, good paying jobs. I know somebody who works the assembly line, makes $36 an hour. Wow. Now concerned the Fed will have to take more Volcker than Dove. Yeah, and Volcker, for those that don't know, that was back in the late 70s, so they clamped down really hard. But our inflation rate got up to, what was it, Waterbug, about 17%. So it got really, really rough. I was working in a grocery store as a high school kid, and I remember we were doing price changes all day long, and that was like my main job. Um, thank you, Cody. I thought I'd do that. Makes me talk less, right? So, um, so we were just constantly marking up groceries. Now back then you didn't have scanners, so you had like a can, and you would mark it with this little ink thing. I'm dating myself. Boink. So you had this little thing that said, 69 cents, and you'd stamp it, and then you'd look at the cans and go boom, 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 boom. Well, now how do you take the old price off? Believe it or not, paper towels and hairspray. So at the end of the shift, you just had all this hairspray in your nose because you'd spray it, rub it, change the price. And that's all I did all day outside of carrying out groceries for people. Now you just go change the tag on the shelf, put it in the computer, voila. It's much easier to change prices. And they're going up like crazy. Every time I go to the grocery store, I am just shocked. Eggs, I don't even buy eggs anymore. I buy egg whites, but I look at go, what, $7? So it's rough out there. And so it looks like inflation is not going to improve anytime soon. Now, when you get to May, and this is where Pat's going to talk about this tomorrow, and he's following Barry Habib, Barry feels that when you compare May to May, that number is going to look much, much better, and that we're going to see some improvement, and that will have an increase in the bond market and a lowering of mortgage rates like what we saw in November. So we're all waiting until May, but in May, I'm going to be on my road trip. Any major apartment complexes coming to completion soon that might increase inventory? Yes. Funny you should mention that. There's an article in that I had pulled up here, and I don't know why I got rid of it, but there's actually a big complex coming up in the Biltmore. The Biltmore and Scottsdale Fashion Square. They're going to add more offices and 250 luxury apartments up at the Biltmore, Camelback and 24th. I just read that this morning. We're seeing still more multiple housing permits than we are seeing for single family. So there's a lot of building going on out there. I think the saturated areas right now are Gilbert and Tempe. So you're going to see rents coming down. Unfortunately, when I go in the MLS and I try to track what's going on, those apartment complexes don't report anything to the MLS. So it just won't show up. But I have had some people say, hey, I managed to negotiate my rent. They tried to raise it, and I went in and talked to them, showed them some stats, and they brought the rent back down. So the pricing pressure upwards appears to be gone for multifamily rentals in these large apartment complexes. But there's more coming because people are moving here. And, like it or not, this is a destination where people want to be. And what the heck is up with yesterday's weather? I was freezing my butt off. I was whining all day. Look, everybody, can't wait to see you tomorrow evening at 6:00 when we bring on our Arizona Real Estate News Show with Pat, Jackie, and Ruby. I will see you then. Thanks for watching.